Dr. Adebayo's story began long before he ever stood at the front of a classroom as a lecturer at the University of Lagos. He was once a bright, ambitious student, eager to prove himself in a world full of challenges. But his journey was marred by an early injustice that set him on a path of bitterness and manipulation that would come to define his career. As a young student in the bustling halls of the university, Adebayo faced the usual pressures: the daunting coursework, the weight of academic expectations, and the financial strain that often came with being from a modest background. But there was one challenge that would alter his life forever, a challenge that, in his eyes, was more than a mere academic hurdle. His sophomore year was supposed to be a time of growth, but it became a nightmare when Dr. Omotayo, one of the most respected lecturers in his department, failed him in a critical course. Adebayo had worked tirelessly, poring over notes, studying late into the night. But one thing stood between him and success: a textbook that was recommended but was far beyond his means. With no money to buy it, he asked Dr. Omotayo for some understanding, hoping for an extension or perhaps some leniency in grading. But Dr. Omotayo's response was cold and dismissive. "This is a university, Adebayo. If you can't even afford the textbook, you shouldn't be here." The sting of that rejection stayed with Adebayo long after he graduated. He knew he had worked harder than many of his peers, but it was that single moment, when he had begged for help and been met with cruelty, that sparked a deep resentment in him. That resentment turned to bitterness, and that bitterness to a determination that he would never again let his future be at the mercy of someone like Dr. Omotayo. Adebayo's rise to the position of lecturer was marked by a steely ambition. He was charismatic, intelligent, and had a knack for charming his colleagues. When the university offered him a teaching position, he took it with a sense of vindication. He had made it. But despite his academic success, something inside him festered. He was consumed with the desire to control the system that had once rejected him. It didn't take long for Adebayo to realize that power, in the world of academia, came with grades, and grades, he discovered, could be manipulated. The idea of using his position to influence students, particularly female ones, seemed almost too easy to resist. Adebayo quickly slipped into the role of the charming, almost seductive lecturer who used his authority to exchange grades for favors. At first, it was subtle. He'd offer extended office hours or extra tutorials, which would eventually lead to private encounters. In exchange, the students would leave his office with grades that didn't reflect their actual work. It was a game to him, a power play that made him feel invincible. He wasn't just a lecturer, he was the gatekeeper to their futures. But the more he indulged in this behavior, the more he became ensnared by it. What started as a few casual encounters turned into a full-blown pattern. He took advantage of his students' hopes, their dreams, their desperation. Each woman who walked into his office was just another pawn in his twisted version of justice. Tunde had known Adebayo since their university days, and he had always been a steady, rational force in his friend's life. So when whispers began circulating about Adebayo's behavior, Tunde couldn't stay silent. He took Adebayo aside one afternoon under the pretense of discussing academic strategies, but his real motive was to confront him about what he had heard. "Adebayo," Tunde began cautiously, "this has to stop. What you're doing isn't just wrong, it's dangerous. You're playing with people's futures, lives, and it's only a matter of time before someone catches on." Adebayo laughed, brushing off the comment with a wave of his hand. "You don't get it, Tunde. I'm not the one hurting anyone. These students need me, they need my help, and I'm just giving it to them." Tunde's face darkened. "This isn't help, Adebayo. This is exploitation. What if someone finds out? What will you do then?" Adebayo leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowed. "I've been through hell to get where I am. You don't understand what it's like to be on the receiving end of this system's cruelty." I was failed once for something beyond my control, and I swore I'd never let that happen again, so I'll do whatever it takes. Tunde's voice grew firm. But this? It's wrong. Think about your reputation, your career. Don't throw it all away for this. I'll be fine, Tunde. Trust me. Adebayo's smile was cold, final. He had made up his mind. Nothing would stop him. The whispers about Adebayo's activities didn't stay silent for long. Eventually, his head of department, Dr. Okoro, got wind of the rumors. But instead of confronting Adebayo directly, he decided to play the same game. Dr. Okoro, too, had his vices, and Adebayo, with his charm and persuasive skills, knew exactly how to get what he wanted. In a quiet meeting, Adebayo offered Dr. Okoro a solution to the problem. I've been hearing some rumors about my conduct, but I'm sure you'll agree that the right price can make all of this go away. Dr. Okoro, ever the opportunist, smiled knowingly. Adebayo, my old friend, I trust you'll take care of things, as always. He accepted the offer, turning a blind eye to Adebayo's actions. From that point onward, Adebayo's power over the department grew. With Dr. Okoro in his pocket, he felt untouchable. His success continued, unchecked and unchallenged. But Adebayo's overconfidence would be his undoing. Enter Chioma, an intelligent, quiet student whose academic prowess made her a standout in every class. Chioma had heard the rumors about Adebayo, but as a focused student, she had never paid them much mind. That is, until one afternoon when she found herself alone in his office. Chioma, Adebayo greeted her with a smile that bordered on predatory. You've been doing so well in class. I think it's time you get a little extra attention from me. Chioma froze, instantly recognizing the situation for what it was. She had heard stories of other students who had fallen victim to Adebayo's manipulations. She wasn't going to be another casualty. I didn't come here for that, Dr. Adebayo, Chioma said, her voice steady. I'm here to discuss my paper, nothing more. Adebayo's smile faltered, but only for a moment. You can do well here, Chioma. You just need to understand how things work around here. Chioma's resolve hardened. She wasn't going to let this man control her. She left his office without another word, but she had no intention of letting his advances slide. Chioma was no ordinary student. She wasn't going to fight him with words alone. She was going to outsmart him. She confided in her older brother, Chuka, a tech guru who worked in cybersecurity. Chuka's reputation for cleverness and discretion was well known, and Chioma knew that if anyone could help her, it was him. Chuka listened intently as Chioma told him everything. He didn't say much at first, but his mind was already working. We need proof, he said, his voice calm but resolute. We can't just confront him without evidence. If we do this right, we can take him down. They devised a plan to install a hidden camera in Adebayo's office. Chioma would continue to play the part of the innocent student, all the while gathering crucial evidence. Chuka, using his skills, set up the discreet surveillance, and they waited. Weeks passed as Chioma gathered evidence, playing the diligent student while Adebayo continued his manipulative tactics. Unaware, he made his move again, but Chioma was prepared. She recorded his advances, capturing damning evidence. With Chuka's help, they exposed Adebayo's corruption to the university administration. He was summoned, confronted with the footage, and subsequently fired. His PhD was revoked, and he faced criminal charges. The media scandalized Adebayo's actions, destroying his reputation. He was arrested, sentenced to jail, and left to reflect on his flawed ambition. Chioma emerged as a hero, her integrity and courage protecting herself and others. She continued her studies, achieving greater success. The moral: don't let negative experiences turn you into an evil person. Seek help, heal, and break the cycle of hurt. If you enjoyed this story, kindly subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. Thank you.